Welcome to myviolinrecital.com. My name's Diane Allen and I'm the website's creator. And today I'm going to show you some simple ways to learn spiccato, which is another name for bouncing the bow. So the first thing you want to do is discover where your balance point is in the bow. Where is the weight center of your bow? So for example, if I hold the bow here, it sinks like this. And if I hold the bow here, it's going to fall the other way. So what we want to do is take your time and find your magic spot where the bow balances. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to mark this spot. So I'm going to grab a little post-it kind of sticky thing just so that you can see it, and it's marked like this. Okay? So in other words, if we cut the bow in half, whoops, I don't quite have it in the right place. If we cut the bow right here, where this marker is, and I put this much on the scale, and I put this much on the scale, they're going to weigh the exact same. So that's why it's called the weight center of the bow. Alright? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do from about here to here little legato strokes, meaning smooth and connected, and the bow resting on the violin the whole time. Let me grab my violin. The other crucial issue is we're going to have the bow hair curled a little bit so the hair is looking at you. And we're going to do little running steps with the bow in a legato fashion. Okay? So that takes a little getting used to, just being in that area of the bow and making little bow strokes that are legato. After you're used to that, the next step is to imagine the bow lifting off the violin like a helicopter, straight up. But you're going to keep doing that while the bow is going back and forth in the legato style. So here's the little running legato notes. Now I'm going to start lifting the bow, and there it is. And it just starts bouncing automatically. The feeling of this is just like bouncing a ball. When you bounce a ball, you throw the ball down, it bounces back up into your hand, but you get into a particular speed or rhythm where you expect the ball to return to your hand on the rebound. And so you're looking for that same predictability when you're doing this. If your bow hand is not perfectly set and you don't have the curled bow, it's going to be really hard to do the stroke. This is a true test of whether your bow thumb is bent and your pinky is curled. So make sure you've got a really super bow hand when you do this. Now let's talk about the bow curl aspect of this. So I'm going to start out with the bow really turned, curled sideways. And while I'm playing, I'm going to gradually flatten the bow hair, and I'll go back gradually to curling it. And you'll hear a variety of different lengths and articulations as I do this, so just observe. So now I'm going to start lifting. I'm going to change how flat the bow hair is. I'm going to make it curled again. So you hear there's different lengths, some of it sounds softer, some of it sounds harsher. The flatter the bow hair, the more the ball's going to rebound. Okay? So let's look at some other things that can go wrong with this. If you take your finger and you bounce it on let's do the A string, way out here, you'll feel the string and how bouncy it is. Now if you do that right next to the bridge, you'll feel that it's very difficult to move that string. It's very hard. And so I like to compare this to if you're going to bounce a ball on a mud puddle it might be out here, but if you're going to do it on your driveway right next to the bridge, it's going to be harder. So the ball is going to respond differently, and it's the same with the bow, depending on where you are on the violin. So I'll demonstrate that next. I'll start out here, I'll move it in, and I'll come back away from the bridge. First I'll start on the string, and then lift. That's a little too close, it doesn't like it, so I'm going to go back. So you can get a variety of sounds that way as well, some good and some bad. Now, if this technique doesn't work for you at all, don't worry about it. There's always another way to do it. This starts with the bounce, and what we do is you just hold the bow perpendicular, straight up and down, floor to ceiling, and you just let it drop and flop on the violin, and then you catch it. So I did one bounce. I'll do one bounce again. Okay? Now you want to do two bounces. And then you guessed it, 3. Do 4. And you see I'm nowhere near that balance point right now. Don't worry about that until later. And we're going to do this until you can do this continually and have a conversation with a video recorder or with your teacher, whatever you want. And now what we're going to do is, while we're doing this, we're going to start adding some down bow and up bow motion. And you're doing spiccato. It's very crude, but you're doing it. Alright? And sometimes starting that way gives you another take on what it feels like to have the bow rebounding back into your hand. And then from there, it's refining it. You get closer to your arrow here, curl the bow here, start adding your down bow and up bow. This is a kind of a slow, controlled spiccato, and then you can speed it up. And slow it down if you want. So as always, thank you for visiting myviolinrecital.com, and happy practicing.